We are live. Huge playoff implications. This week 11 of college football is nearly upon us. We are breaking it all down. This is the Nitro College Football Show. I'm Burl.
And I'm Street.
Like and subscribe if you love college football. Week 11, like I said, right around the corner. We got some big matchups. The biggest one on the card really is number 7 BYU travels to Lubbock, Texas to take on number 8 Texas Tech. So massive Big 12 game. Will this be the game that BYU their luck finally runs out?
Might be. So obviously we had the college football playoff rankings came out last night. Both these teams ranked. BYU comes in at 7, Texas Tech at 8. So clearly the committee kind of likes what's going on in the Big 12 this year, because they also had Utah within the top 15. So 3 Big 12 teams in the top 15 says something when the 3 highest ranked ACC teams were all outside of the top 15.
Yeah.
They feel pretty good about the Big 12 as a conference. This is a spotlight game for them that they've been waiting on. The last time game day is there, and the last time that game day was at the Texas Tech game was the infamous Michael Crabtree game in 2008. When Texas came in there, they were 1 or 2 in the country. Michael Crabtree scores that last-minute touchdown. It's the famous video or whatever. So we will see if Texas Tech and their big money experiment this year. There was a big article today about how much money they spent, like insane amounts of money, to try to put this together. And BYU, as we've talked about before, a team that lost its starting quarterback right before the season started. Last year had a really good year for them. Wasn't expected to do a lot, but has somehow kind of found its way to win. We'll see what happens down in Lubbock.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. Haven't watched a lot of BYU, so I'm excited to see what they can do. And same thing with Texas Tech. We would watch the Utah game, probably the biggest one that to keep track of. So looking forward to this. These are 2 really good Big 12 teams, and I think the best case scenario for the Big 12 right now is if BYU loses, then Texas Tech still has a much better chance of making the playoff, and then them getting another team in at large.
Yeah, because BYU beat Utah and Texas Tech beat Utah.
Yeah.
Even if Texas Tech wins this game, it's still most likely going to end up a rematch in the Big 12 championship. Now, if Texas Tech loses, then it sets that situation where Utah could slip back in there. So for the conference and for definitely getting 2 playoff teams, they kind of want Texas Tech to win this game.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, once again, they inexplicably dropped that game to Arizona State a few weeks ago, but they have been a phenomenal team, both on offense and defense, in top 5 in both scoring offense and scoring defense. But I think the real matchup in this game to watch is going to be the offensive line of BYU against that Texas Tech front 7. Because the Texas Tech front 7 has been awesome all year. It features linebacker Jacob Rodriguez, who's got 74 tackles, 1 sack, 2 interceptions, but he leads the nation in forced fumbles with 7. And then you've got edge David Bailey, who leads the country in sacks with 11.5. So you've got a lot of pressure coming from that Texas Tech front 7, but BYU likes to run the football. They're very run heavy. They're number 15 in the country, 216 yards a game. So I think that's the real matchup to watch in this game, is whether BYU can muster any kind of rushing offense, because that's what they like to do.
And can Bear Brockmeyer pass just enough, make just enough plays to win this game?
Yeah. Well, also to point out their leading running back, LJ Martin, he's kind of banged up. So there's some questions about him in this game. He's one of the leading rushers in the country. He's got 789 yards rushing. If he's out, BYU may have to rely a little bit more on the passing game like they did last week. They've got a good receiving duo, Chase Roberts and Parker Kingston, that Bachmeier likes to rely upon. But they also are facing a Texas Tech offense with Baron Morton back in tow that can certainly score, like I said, top 5 in the country in scoring. So it should be an interesting game.
Yeah, for real. And BYU's defense is not bad at all. I mean, they're 16th in the country in scoring.
Right.
And what's interesting is both of these teams have really good turnover margins. Texas Tech is 10th and BYU is 5th. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, just watch out for that number 47.
Yeah. I mean, I think one other thing. So we've talked about Texas Tech, their defense, number 1 rushing defense in the country. And that's important because BYU likes to hold the ball. They like to run it and they like to control the clock. They're 20th in the country in time of possession. Texas Tech, on the other hand, they like to score fast. They're 88th in the country. And it's interesting because these are 2 rather high scoring teams. So different philosophies. We'll see what happens. But if BYU can't get a rushing game going, I don't see a path for them to win this game.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. But I think it's going to be a little more high scoring. And even though we've got good defenses, I think these offenses are really good.
Yeah. And
so I'm going to go Texas Tech 38, BYU 27.
Yeah, I think your high score there for Texas Tech is right. I've got Texas Tech 40, BYU 20. I think it's just going to be too much. I think BYU will score a little bit more than Texas Tech has been giving up on the season. So it's not like their offense is totally going to get stymied, but I think the inability to sustain a rush game against that front is going to be really hard. Maybe a turnover here or there. Texas Tech continues to do what they've done all year, which is poured on teams in the second half. So give me Texas Tech 40, BYU 20.
So the magic of Bear Brockmeyer does not pull it out this weekend.
I don't think so. The number 47 jersey.
Yep. All right. So Georgia travels to Starkville. Number 5 Georgia heads to Mississippi State. So do you think this is the week that Georgia finally puts it all together, or is this upset alert for Mississippi State?
I think, well, Georgia could put it all together and still be a close game, because I think Mississippi State is much better than their record indicates. 7-5 is a close spread. You would think Georgia, number 5 in the country, Mississippi State just got their first conference win since 2023. You think, oh gosh, that's going to be a much bigger spread. But when you dig into Mississippi State, you kind of understand why the spread is what it is. Mississippi State has 2 overtime losses this year, and they've also got a close loss to Florida. Statistically, they are, at least on the offensive side of the ball, they're very similar to Georgia. Both teams, total offense, Georgia's 42nd in the country. Mississippi State's 58th. Scoring defense, Mississippi State's 38th. Georgia's 42nd. So they both are, good scoring teams, but not crazy scoring teams. But that's somewhat more common we're seeing this year in the SEC as a whole. Where you expect that there's a little bit of differences on the defensive side of the ball. Georgia is a better defense than Mississippi State this year. Georgia's 21st in total defense. Mississippi State comes in at 69th. But nice. I think if you're going to look, I think if you're going to look for an area to really distinguish between these two teams in this game, it's going to be the rush defense. Georgia's 15th in the country against the rush. Mississippi State's 95th. So if there's an area that Georgia's going to want to attack, it's in the running game.
And that is right up Georgia's game plan.
Right.
I mean, that's what Georgia does best. As good as Gunnar Stockton has been, the run game is what has powered Georgia this year in most of the games. So I expect a heavy dose of Bowens, Frazier. Hell, maybe we see some Phillips sprinkled in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would expect
And a
Georgia
lot of gunner,
yeah.
probably a lot of quarterback runs too.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I would expect Georgia to go heavy to try to take advantage of the Mississippi State defense where they're not great against the run. Now Mississippi State on offense, they can score. Blake Shapen is a good quarterback. He's been starting in the NCAA forever. He was on his 5th year as a starter, 3 years at Baylor, 2 years at Mississippi State. They've got a good running back tandem, Fluff Bothwell and Davin Booth. I know Fluff. They got they're good. They both have over 700 yards and they've got 13 rush touchdowns. So
I bet that's one tough MFer. His name is Fluff.
You kind of got to be. And then of course they've got 2 good receivers. One we got to mention, former Georgia dog Anthony Evans, who has moved over there to Mississippi State and become one of their go-to guys. He leads the team in receptions. He's second in yards. He's got 4 touchdowns on the year. So he's found success there that, he really wasn't getting much touch at Georgia, and he's gone to a place where they've used him a lot. So
yeah, and he's actually produced better than any Georgia wide receiver this year.
Very true.
Which is really interesting.
Yep.
So it makes me wonder, like, what's going on over there.
They're a little bit more. They're a little more pass heavy than Georgia is.
That is true. Georgia
quarterback who's, like I said, this is like his 4th or 5th year as a starter. Georgia's got a first-year starter. So that you factor that in there as well.
Yeah. So the big area that scares me more than anything in this game, besides the fact there's going to be cowbells ringing the whole time, is Georgia's 65th in the country in pass defense. And Mississippi State can throw it. So I would be very worried about Anthony Evans this weekend.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be jacked for this game and wanting to prove a point, because a lot of Georgia fans, myself included, kind of put that Notre Dame loss on him for missing that block.
Yeah.
That led to the fumble. So,
yeah. I mean, like I said, I think Mississippi State is a better football team than their record indicates. They knocked off Arizona State when they were number 12 as a defending playoff team. They lost in overtime to Tennessee and Texas, 2 teams that are ranked still. The only game that they've really gotten beaten bad this year is Texas A&M. But fortunately for Georgia, Texas A&M's profile is somewhat similar to Georgia's, a little bit more than those other teams that they've had some success against. So 7.5, 7, whatever it is, seems like a small spread. But when you look at it, Mississippi State's probably a little bit better. That being said, I think Georgia can go on the road. I think they can control the clock, running the football. And I think they're going to be able to score. So give me Georgia 38, Mississippi State 28.
Yeah, I think it's the ball control offense has been Georgia's game plan against really high-scoring offenses this year anyway. And Georgia's 9th in the country in time of possession. Mississippi State's 125th. So look for Georgia to have those long, sustaining, run-heavy drives, heavy dose of Zachariah Branch in the screen game. Those are just extended run plays for Georgia. And I think Georgia's gonna play very much a bend but don't break defense. Because Georgia's 14th in the country in red zone defense. So they bend but don't break. And of course, it's going to be tight until the 4th quarter, no matter what.
That's just what this team is, man.
That is who they are. So I do think this is going to be a high-scoring affair. I think it's going to be close. I got Georgia 41, Mississippi State 38.
Oh, man. You're going real high-scoring. Dang.
I'm just thinking about, the Ole Miss game. And I know they're not Ole Miss, but it is in Mississippi.
True. True.
So yeah. Another big SEC matchup this week. Texas A&M travels to number 22 Missouri, and Missouri is without their starting quarterback. So my question is, does Missouri even stand a chance without Pribula?
Well, and remember that Previla was technically the backup. So they're really on their third string quarterback, who is a true freshman who is going to get his first career start against the number 3 team in the country.
At least it's at home.
At least it's at home. I think they're going to try to rely on Ahmed Hardy as much as they can.
Oh, they have to.
He's still 4th in the country with 937 yards. And, Texas A&M is good against the rush, but they're not great. They're 33rd in the country against the rush. So that's good, but not great. So I think that's what they're going to have to do. I think they are absolutely going to have to try to run the football and keep A&M from scoring a lot if they stand a chance.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Ahmed Hardy's got to be the MVP of this game for Missouri to even have a chance. I think it's going to be really tough. A&M's offense has just been too good this year. I mean, they're 11th in scoring. Although Missouri's defense is really good. So their defense might actually give them a chance to hang around in this game, especially if they can get after Marcel Reed and affect his play, which I think is very possible and very doable for Missouri, because Marcel Reed's
were able to. I was going to say they were able to get some pressure against Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. And Marcel Reed, as great as he is, he's not the most accurate passer out there. Very true. If you can knock him off his spot, then you got a chance.
Yeah, Damon Wilson's going to have another big game. He's been great for them this year, 6.5 sacks, but they're going to have to get some pressure on Reed. Get him off, much like what Georgia did to pressure Lagway last week. Get him off, off his regular cadence, make him get happy feet and throw the ball away or inaccurately. That's what they're going to have to do. Otherwise, Marcel Reed will take off, he'll run, and then when he's got the chance, he'll hit guys open.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's done all year. So how do you see this one going?
I think it's a tall task to ask a true freshman to play the number 3 team in the country in his first career start. It's going to be real hard for Missouri to sustain offense. Hardy's good. Their defense is good, so they keep Texas A&M below their average, but I don't think it's enough to win. Texas A&M is playing so good. They've got everything in front of them. They haven't had this chance in a long time. So give me Texas A&M 31, Missouri 17.
Nice. Okay. So A&M is heavily penalized team. So that's something that Missouri could have in their favor in this game, with it being at home. A&M's 122nd in the country in penalty yards. That's not good. That is not good. And that actually surprises me, seeing that number, because that can lose you some games. So the fact that they have overcome that and still won these games, I think that shows how talented they are and how good they are as a team. So I think the Missouri defense will keep it from being a blowout. I still have A&M 28, Missouri 17. I just think that the defense will slow down A&M just a little bit more than what we've seen the rest of the year for A&M. And then we got LSU at Alabama. LSU has finally rid themselves of the Brian Kelly stank. And so that begs the question, do we see a new and improved LSU? Do they come out with, as Kirby Smart likes to say, fire, passion, and energy, and they start handing the ball to Harlan Berry and, play some good offense and let, the defense does what the defense does? Is this that game? Or is Alabama just going to roll them?
Alabama's at number 4 in the playoff rankings behind 3 undefeated teams. And they probably don't like that because they're Alabama. LSU has no coach. They were dysfunctional before, whereas Florida fired Napier. They at least like Billy Napier. They had good chemistry amongst their coaching staff and everybody. Napier just wasn't winning.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly actually was winning, but it was dysfunctional. This is a situation where firing your coach I don't think fires up the team. I think this is a situation where the team is just like, let's get to the end of the year. Let's get a new staff in. I don't think they have a chance.
Yeah. Have they had anybody declare themselves a redshirt, like sitting out the rest of the year or anything like that? Do you know?
Not that I know of, but they've been injured all year. Nussmeier's been hurt.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I think this is a game where Alabama just goes in and punishes LSU. This is not a game where they're going to Alabama's not going to go in there and rack up crazy stats or anything, because I don't think they're going to need to. I think this is a game where they just push them around. Ty Simpson has a good day, but not crazy day. People are going to say, oh, he's not in the Heisman race anymore, whatever. It's stupid, but that's how it's probably going to is. I think the offense for LSU is just going to continue to struggle playing out Alabama. I don't see much chance that they win this game. What do you think the score is going to be?
I'm with you with it being, especially with it being in Tuscaloosa. I just think Bama is going to be way too much for LSU. So give me Bama 34, LSU 17.
Yeah. I'm in similar. Give me Bama 28, LSU 13. Workman-like effort for Bama. Move on to the next week.
I could see Ty Simpson actually having like a ridiculous game just because it's at home.
Could be, but I think they're going to try to run the ball more.
Yeah, they're very good.
They got a big game against Oklahoma coming up, and I think they're going to try to just keep Ty Simpson clean and get to that game.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so speaking of offenses, we got number 9 Oregon traveling across country to the fields of Iowa. Number 20 Iowa. We have a battle of offense versus defense. So is this going to be a walk in the park for Oregon?
I don't know. So Oregon came in at number 9 in the college football playoff rankings, despite being 6th in the other rankings. So it makes you kind of wonder that people are kind of taking notice that Oregon's only real good win was an overtime win at Penn State. They don't really have a lot of, now they've scored a lot of points, but they got beat, even though it was close, they got beat pretty good against Indiana. So that we know they can score, but Iowa really plays defense well. And Iowa being ranked at 20th in the playoff rankings was actually a surprise, I think, to a lot of people.
Yeah, Iowa's defense is legit. There's number 2 overall defense at 234 yards a game and 4th in scoring.
Yeah. And Iowa really likes to run the football. Oregon is number 30 in the country against the rush. So that plays into what Iowa likes to do. Iowa likes to run the football. Iowa likes to punt and play defense. I know it's a joke. It's always been a joke with them, but that's what they're good at.
Hey, Iowa's actually got a semblance of an offense this year. I mean, they're not great. They're still 121st overall.
Right. But what are they rushing? What's their rushing offense numbers?
36. It's not bad.
Yeah. So if you factor in that they are 121st in total offense, but their rushing attack is 36th, I mean, they're pulling a lot of their weight on that rush side of the ball.
Yes, they are. So I think this is going to be a really fun game. You know, the styles make fights.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to watch that Oregon offense go against this Iowa defense. And really, I think we'll see how decent that Oregon's defense maybe is or isn't in this game.
Right.
Because not that Iowa has an offense that's like anything really to write home about, but compared to what Iowa's offense has been past few years, they're like high scoring in their book.
Yeah. I think Iowa is going to want to keep it lower scoring, and I think this ends up more of an Iowa style game than an Oregon style game. I still think Oregon's going to win. I think they win, at the end relatively comfortably. I'm going to take Oregon 27, Iowa 17.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm Oregon 27, Iowa 20. I think I give Iowa 3 more points for being at home.
Yeah.
And cross country travel, Oregon tends to
Yeah,
not
but
play as well.
it's only midway across the country. It's to the rugged heartland of America.
The heartland.
They get to go wave at the kids in the hospital. I mean,
That's true. That's a good thing.
The duck's going to make all the kids happy.
Yeah, that's actually true. You think the duck loses his head this game running out of the tunnel?
It depends on how much drinking he does with those corn.
So
If
he does that, how much does that scare the kids?
All of them. They're all crying.
So speaking of scary, let's talk about Memphis.
Yeah, we got to talk once again. Another game featuring teams that are competing for that last playoff spot. You got Tulane taking on Memphis. Memphis 5.5-point favorite. There were no group of 5 teams in the top 25 rankings last night.
Yeah. That's a first.
But I think Memphis is technically the highest rated right now. I think they said like if it went down, Memphis would be in right now. We talked about BYU earlier. Where did that quarterback go? Well, he went to Tulane. That's Jake Retzlaff, who's now the quarterback at Tulane. Tulane's had, up until last week, Tulane was having a pretty good season. They got blown out by Ole Miss, but they were putting up a lot of yards and points on offense. And then they got upset last week by Texas San Antonio. So their profile has kind of dropped a little bit. Memphis had that upset to UAB a few weeks ago, but then they came back and they beat South Florida. So you've got 2 teams that are competing for that playoff spot from the American Conference. They're both 1 loss in conference right now, trying to get to that championship game.
Yeah. Just looking at Tulane's numbers, they're just not impressive whatsoever. Overall offense 56th in the country, passing 70th, scoring 83rd. And
which is not surprising when they got a quarterback who came in, joined the team middle of summer practice.
Maybe. I mean, when did Joey Aguilar make it to Tennessee?
After spring. I don't think Retzlaff transferred until the summer.
Yeah, it was really late.
Determined that he was going to get kicked out of BYU.
Yeah, but still. I mean, they're 6 games or 8 games in the season now.
Yeah.
And Memphis, just overall, they look like the better team, especially on paper.
Right. I mean, if Tulane pulls the upset here, you were really going to have a logjam of these teams in the American Conference with 2 losses, right? Memphis would have 2 at that point. Tulane would have 2 at that point. South Florida has 2 losses at that point. Navy's got to play Notre Dame, so they're going to have probably 2 losses pretty soon here. So you really are creating a logjam of teams. If that happens, keep an eye out on San Diego State as the team potentially sneak into this playoff. Right now, I would give the upper hand to these teams in the American Conference, but if some stuff happens, San Diego State is a team to watch. But as for this game, I think Memphis is the better team here. I think their scoring is better, and I think they are a more solid team that could potentially make the playoffs. So give me Memphis 37, Tulane 23.
Yeah, I don't know why this spread's only 3.5 points. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So Vegas, they got to know
Must have
something.
dropped. It was 5.5 when I
Yeah.
looked at it originally, like yesterday.
Yeah,
So.
today it's 3.5.
Interesting.
It's moved. It moved.
Yeah.
It moved. So give me Memphis 33, Tulane 21. Memphis leader in the clubhouse to make the playoff out of the G5.
Could be a potential matchup for Georgia if they keep winning and don't play in the SEC championship game.
Which I hope is the case. So we actually kind of want A&M and Alabama to keep winning
To win out
right now. Yeah.
Oh, that would be ideal.
That would be very ideal. All right, we're getting close to wrapping up, so we'll do some quick hitters. We got Indiana at Penn State, a game that would have been a huge matchup had Penn State not just absolutely crapped the bed this year. But you had a good question on here.
Yeah, so the spread is like 21.5, I think, something along those lines, give or take a few points. But Indiana has been blowing people out, killing people like crazy. We know Penn State lost Drew Aller. They've kind of looked lifeless. You know, they held with Ohio State in the first half last week, but they lost by 24 to Ohio State last week. So my question is, does Indiana win this game by more than 30 points?
Yes.
There you go.
Yes. How did Indiana do last week against the spread?
Oh, last week against Maryland. Oh, they scored. It was like 50-17 or something, I think.
Let's see, what was it? A couple weeks ago, you asked me. What game was that? I can't remember.
Well, last week they played Maryland. It's 55-10 last week against Maryland. So.
Oh, it was against UCLA. You asked me if UCLA would be able to cover. Oh. And I immediately answered no.
Yeah, I don't think they'll cover this week either. I think Indiana rolls. I think Indiana wants to keep sending messages as much as they can to make sure they stay up there at the top of the playoff rankings. So,
well, I think
they'll score more than 30 points.
That's what you got to do.
Right.
I mean, think what you want about Signetti. He knows what he's doing. He's playing the game as it's configured right now. He's stretching the rules as best he can, you know, backing out of Power 4 games and keeping his schedule as easy as possible. But at the same time, they absolutely roll everybody, even the good teams so far.
Right. Well, and this was supposed to be a marquee game for them, so you know.
Yeah. So
you can't lose the marquee games, but now that your opponent is underperforming, you got to put them away. All that talk you've done.
Yeah. So. But also everything's still brand new for Indiana. So it's not like, oh, Penn State, you know, they're not playing very well this year. We'll just roll out there and win. They're still in this I have to prove myself phase of the program because this is really the only second year that they've been relevant. Let's be real. So they're going to try to put it on anybody that they're playing if they can do it.
I agree.
I mean, just ask Illinois. Although Iowa did hold them pretty well.
It's that Iowa defense, man.
I would not be shocked if Iowa wins that game against Oregon. Common opponents, just looking at them, you know. It's going to be
send
interesting.
It would send a shockwave.
I think it would be awesome. It'd be hilarious. I would hate it for Dan Lanning, but at the same time, I don't really care for Oregon.
Right. All right. The other quick hitter that I wanted to touch on, I mentioned it earlier, Navy, who suffered its first loss last week, goes to take on Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame needs win all these good wins they can get. They already are all the way up to 10th already in the playoff ranking. The spread on this game is 25.5, which I thought was a lot. But the over-under here is 55.5. So my question is, with Notre Dame needing to look good, and this being arguably going to be their second best win on their whole schedule after USC right now, can Notre Dame score enough to drive the total over the 55.5?
So you think that Notre Dame's defense is just going to shut Navy down?
I think they are.
Okay.
They're playing really well. Offense was a little out of sorts last week against Boston College, but the defense still played well.
Yeah. I don't know.
25.5 is a big spread anyway. So, I mean,
that's a big spread, but that means that if they hold Navy like you think they're going to hold Navy, then Notre Dame has to pull an Iowa and score 50 points themselves at least.
I think they'll score in the 40s. And if that happens, I don't think Navy's going to get shut out. I bet they'll score 10-17. So if Notre Dame scores in the 40s, that's going to push that 55. I think so. Yeah. I think Notre Dame's going to want to score. So I think they're going to try to, because they need another signature win, not a ranked team, but a team that's only got one loss in the season.
Yeah. I think they need to. They need to run it up as much as they can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the weekend?
Nah, man, just a couple of tricky games that, we talked about: Oregon, Iowa, Georgia, Mississippi State, that have, closer spreads than what you would expect. Just keep an eye on them. Hopefully the Dogs show up 11 a.m. in Starkville. Helps that it's not at night, and just keep it rolling with Texas coming to town next week. Hopefully they're not looking ahead.
Yeah. I hope to see sad Brandon Walker this weekend. All right. If you love college football, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit us up in the comments. Let us know what you think about the picks. Are we good, bad, ugly? Yes, all of the above. Let us know, and hit us up on the socials at NitroCFB on TikTok, Instagram, X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And looking forward to the games this weekend, and I'll be live after the Georgia game with a quick little post game. And until then, I'm Burl.
I'm Street.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.